100-mile tow, which is so important. So I got another story. We just had an insured teenage driver, which we can talk about that in a minute.
We're going to.
rolled his car, driving to Emporia, Kansas. They live in Leavenworth, Kansas. Start looking at the mileage on how far out from home they were. Rolled his car, totaled it. Had the plus roadside. We were able to get the car towed from pretty much Emporia back to Leavenworth, where they wanted it, and over 100 miles of that was paid for. Then he had to pick up the difference. Had he only had the basic 15 miles of tow coverage, can you imagine the tow bill on that one to get that thing back? I mean,
almost a boat. No,
yeah.
Bust out another 1,000.
So
go ahead.
It's just you start looking at total premiums, and it's like, oh, they're $2 cheaper, or they're $5 cheaper, but what am I paying for? And that's we always try to tell you to go to get that $21 a year tow, not the $11. Trust me, when you do use it, it's worth every penny you paid for it.
Yeah, it would be.
And just to piggyback on that, before I got insurance, I actually did lock my keys in the car, and I had to go back to college. I had classes in the morning, and I Googled it, car unlock Olathe, and it was about $112. I still remember it, because that's a lot of money back in 2011 dollars.
For a college kid, for
college
sure.
kid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I could have done a lot of other stuff with that, but it's not that much money to add it onto your policy, especially if you're in a situation where you don't have a backup key, no one else is home. Have that guy come out and help you out. It's much better just to add it on.
Well, I mean, the whole purpose of having insurance is for I can't plan for it. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. It's like you get the questions on, how much life insurance should I have? Well, tell me how much you want and when you're going to die, and I can tell you to the penny what you need.
Yeah.
Since you can't predict that, you got to kind of, guess and plan for the unforeseen. That's the same thing. That the auto insurance is a little less extreme. A tow is a tow, but I don't know when it's going to happen. You might as well at least have it covered.
Exactly. Well, we got a whole lot of things we could talk about. Again, guys, if you have questions, feel free to send them on in, and we'll be happy to answer them. But there's all kinds of different topics we can talk about. We've got all kinds of extras. What is on anybody's mind today?
Well, I mean, I think one thing is if it has the word insurance in it, that's the game that we're in.
Right.
We deal with everything insurance, anything that has to do with your money, your finances, your stuff. Even if we don't have the right solution, we can at least take the solution you might have and guide you down the right path to say that is a good thing. How many times have you heard me say on the phone where I'm like, you have the right coverage in the right place with the right person. There's not a lot I can do to make it better for you. If you have something come up and you need some help, give us a call then. I've looked at more health insurance plans and guided people on that. We don't do a ton of health insurance anymore. With Obamacare and the whole Affordable Health Care Act, it's kind of gone a different direction than what we used to be able to help people with. But
there are things out there that we could help people, MediShare and different things like that.
There's the sharing programs, which are usually faith-based sharing programs. Those are great. I actually personally, I think that's the way insurance used to be. It's kind of going back to that with them. So a difference I'll use my family. We're through the Affordable Health Care Act is $1,900 a month, which it used to be $400 or $500. Use one of the sharing programs, you're talking $400 or $500 a month again. Lower deductibles, fantastic. I really believe in that the whole sharing network stuff. But one thing that's come up this weekend, so I coach a lot of baseball. I've got an 11-year-old team. We travel all over the place. It's accident insurance. Deductibles have gone up, premiums have gone, so everything's gotten more expensive. Broken arm, at a baseball field, you go to the emergency room. Just that in itself is probably $1,000 to get in. X-rays, cast, the whole deal. So what's a broken arm probably going to run anymore? $4,000, $5,000.
Wow.
It's been a while since I've had any one of mine break something. I knock on wood on that one, but so there are plans that we can help put in place, and I do this at the academy that I coach at. And it's so you pick a number. We use $10,000 for our family. The first $10,000 of any medical accident is covered, whether I have insurance or not. So let's use the broken arm. Kid dives, this happened, rolled over his arm, snapped his wrist in half, got him in the hospital. It was, I think it was about $4,000.
Oh my goodness. Man.
Using this, so the insurance is going to pick it up. Say they had a $3,000 deductible. So they're out $3,000 out of pocket on that. These plans will actually write you a check for whatever the total medical cost was, whether you have insurance or not. So now their deductible's covered, and they're a little bit in the positive of
Well, how much are we talking?
$50 a month for a family.
Wow.
I mean, I've seen them as high as 75 if you get the $50,000 worth of coverage, but they're pennies for what they cover. And anybody who's got kids in sports, you're going to the emergency room at some point. Me as a kid, we went to the emergency room about every month. I backed into a bush, had a thorn shoot in my eye, had to go get that fished out. Had a fishing lure stuck in my head. Thanks, Mom, for making me play with that kid. That was a lot of fun for that one. I was in the emergency room all the time. 4 broken ankles, broken arm, had Tommy John surgery. You name it, I've been.
Oh, the weather change. You already know ahead of time, don't you?
Yeah. Usually about a month before. I tell you, this week's going to be fantastic. The weather's going to be great. Nothing hurts right
He's
now.
not aching and faded today, so that's funny.
And these are for the kids that are playing club sports, which are all year long, especially in the summertime. It's not, if you're playing for a school and you're in high school, junior high, you'll have insurance with the school. You have to take the physical, prove all that. But this is when summertime, if you play basketball, it's 12 months a year. Same with soccer, baseball, everything.
Well, it's not just for the kids. So
I
a
was
lot of the
gonna say,
plays
yeah.
they're for the family. So me, I'm out there going. I still try to show these kids that I can still play. Hey, I played professional baseball, and they look around and they go, "No, you didn't." No, really, little short, squatty people can still play stuff. I'll go out and hurt myself almost every single time I try to show them how to do something.
Yeah.
I actually dove at practice the other day. It was one of those. I hit the ground, and the other coach who's hitting ground balls, he's looking out. His eyes are real big. I'm just laying there. I was like, "I'm good. Give me a minute." And he's like, "You okay?" I was like, "I seriously think I'm gonna throw up when I stand up." But
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. You can never get the boy out of the man. You just can't do it. Last summer we have a neighborhood that likes to sit outside and have bonfires and catch up with each other on the weekends and what have you. And my buddy's little 10-year-old girl is like, "Come on, Jay, let's go race." I'm like, "No, I'm not racing." So she went around the whole place and no one would race her. Well, okay, I'll race her. So we go over, we set up the boundaries from the mailbox to the end of the driveway, whatever we were doing. And we said go, and wow, that little girl's fast. I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. I go inside, get my tennis shoes on now, do a couple fake stretches, and off we go. And we're into it about 25 yards, and I'm neck and neck with this little girl, and I know I've got her. Boom, hamstring just pulls, and I'm just come up lame. They're all laughing. They've got it all recorded.
Oh, no.
You just can't take the boy out of the man.
no,
You just got to learn.
I got a good story. So back when I started selling insurance, it was actually you who was my boss at the time, and we had a break room. We could go play ping pong. This is where I developed my ping pong skills and kind of reached the hierarchy that I am today.
I'm still ahead of him in wins.
Yeah,
Call it what it is.
he's got some fake tracker going. But anyways, we were playing in the break room one day, and I remember I did this like a Rembrandt. I hit it to the side, and then I worked the other corner perfectly. And I remember you reaching, and his back went out while we were playing ping pong, and I was like, at first it was funny, we didn't have it recorded, unfortunately, but I'm like, whoa, you're really hurt.
I almost went through the wall.
Yeah.
It was bad.
He had to go home, and so I kind of got that on him forever. But the point is, like, injuries can happen, especially as you get older. You're usually not thinking to stretch your hamstrings out.
So had I had the accident insurance during that, I could have gone to the chiropractor and a bunch of other stuff and probably had it paid for.
Yeah.
So lesson learned when I start my ping pong career up again on the. I take back out.
I've just got to tell myself, and I think I've got my neighbors now and my wife are like, "No, Jay, you cannot go race." And I'm not real good at listening, though. I'll be quite honest with you.
Once an athlete, always an athlete. We're going to
Well,
stay
that's
competitive.
it, because I was nothing but pure asshole.
That's right.
So
Physical specimen.
Talking about kids and the whole accident insurance and all that stuff. I've gotten a lot of calls lately because I'm in that demographic where everybody's 14 to 15-year-olds are starting to drive, and we're getting a lot of teenage driver calls.
I have a teenage driver.
So do you remember how much your premium jumped up when you first put her on your policy?
We're not even going to talk about it.
On average,
It doubled.
It doubles. It does, and it's with everybody. It's not. They can't drive. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Well, I have a daughter, though.
So you
Just
get
a little bit less.
you get a little bit less, yeah, until they back into stuff and then oops. But I now have 3 teenage drivers.
Oh my gosh.
It's painful.
Oh.
They'll all be finally off the policy by the time the 4th one starts driving, I hope. But, just 20-year-old, 17-year-old, and 16-year-old. It's $2,500 a pop per year that just keeps adding on to the policy. And then they have accidents, so we've got an insured whose 2 oldest kids both totaled a car, and he just added a 16-year-old, and he said, "Why am I paying $10,000 a year for insurance? Your kids can't drive." But they do have, the good student discount. That helps a ton. So if you're watching and your parents, you better force them to be on honor roll. That's a huge discount. Really, it's probably 20%.
Yeah.
And then,
No, want the grades.
oh yeah, you're helping everybody out.
Absolutely.
You're staying on honor roll. And then those the driving courses. So we have all of our kids went through, not the harder driving school, but it's one of those where they go sit through an 8-hour class. Then they get picked up and they drive for 2 hours at a time up until 16 hours.
Oh wow.
And they teach them, highway driving, parallel parking, just all that stuff
Basic
that goes into
stuff.
it. That's a big discount too.
Nice.
And those are huge discounts.
And the cost on those programs aren't what, a couple $100?
$400.
Yeah.
It's you'll save that back for sure in premium discount.
Wow.
On top of that, there's another program where you can just pay $20. It's a 4-hour online course, and it's actually good for 3 years. You get a certificate that you can print off, and I actually used it with another company of ours. So that's another discount that you can add on along with the good student and the official driver's education class that you have to take when you're trying to get your license.
Yeah, we shop them around. In fact, we've got one we got to work on when we get back to the office today. It goes in cycles where one carrier doesn't mind the teenage driver. I won't say they like them. Nobody likes them. They don't mind the teenage drivers nearly as much as maybe 2 or 3 other companies. Being set up as brokers, like we've structured our company, that we'll just look to see who likes them the best. And it can be a $1,000 difference a year in premium depending on who wants that business, and it's cyclical. So every year we're gonna have to probably relook at it and see who's into the teenage market that year.
We had a client just several months ago that came in and wanted us to quote him on his home and auto, and his daughter has a tendency to, well, I don't know, run stoplights or do something about every 18 months. And we were running this program, I don't know if you remember this or not, but we knew this thing was getting ready to show up on her claim. And so in order for him to switch at that particular moment, we said, now just stay where you are, but at the end of June when you get your new statement from these daughter's these 2 claims are going to show up on her, give us a call then. And again, we've talked about last week that we do that free of charge. We're happy to look over your stuff free of charge and give you the best quotes that we possibly can. So kind of keep that in mind as well. But
well, I mean, it makes sense. So if you're paying the right premium right now, and I can't put you in a better policy.
We're not going to change it.
No, but no, we're here. Come back. Let us help you when you're ready. I have no problem. I want to make you a client that's going to be around, be covered, and have a good experience, not just try to bring business in the door.
No, I don't want the rotating either. But we were going to talk about people with lake homes or farmland that all they do is go up and hunt. What have you experienced with that?
So we've been, believe it, this has kind of become a popular thing where you buy land to hunt, camp, fish, whatever you're into, the outdoor lifestyle, but you're not putting a house on it.
Okay.
It's just land. You can look at it a couple different ways. It is actually covered, and you can put riders and stuff that it's a secondary property, not a home, a secondary property where your liability from your current homeowners will extend over to that. So I have 20 acres, and I say, Jay, go on, you guys can go, take Freedom out there and camp and hunt. Now say you get injured on that while you're out there. I need to have coverage for that under my personal homeowner's insurance in case you sue me or come back and you want restitution somehow because I had a dangerous property. I didn't tell you there was a bull on it or something. Wild pig, I don't know. So there is coverage that extends to that built into a lot of homeowners policies. Some of them are, there's just a little box you got to check just to make sure that it extends over to it. Maybe you don't have enough liability coverage. We've had a couple of different situations where we actually got to kind of itemize it, lay out, see what it is. But you have to make sure it's vacant. So we had another one of these where, it's vacant property, but they had a RV on it. Not a mobile, they put it up on blocks, it wasn't going anywhere. Now it's a home. Now it's a secondary dwelling, and that coverage isn't going to carry over. We got to look at it differently.
What about a pond on the property?
Well,
You got liability.
you have liability everywhere you go anymore, especially as so happy as everybody gets. Having the conversation, I always tell people, whatever you tell me, I'm not running off and telling the insurance company. I want to look at it and say, Jay, this is what I think could happen. Here's what I think the solution could be. It's your decision to make. I'm not going to go tell a company on you. Well, no, Jay said no to this coverage and he needs it, so you should look into it. I'm going to advise you on what you should have and how you should do it, and then you have to make that decision for your family and your well-being.
But you'll also make a note that you offered it.
Oh, absolutely. Don't just don't lie to us. We're not going to tell on you.
We're not here.
And as much stuff is out there. How many times do you hear me say, how many accidents have? Well, they said they don't have any. That means they have one.
Yep.
The people that are 100% convinced that I've never had a ticket or an accident, never. Okay, I believe. I don't think I've had one in a while. Okay, so you had one in the last 18 months. You just don't want to tell.
Exactly.
Why people do that, I don't know.
Exactly.
But just be honest with us, because then we know who to pivot to. We know who to go look and say, I know, company A is better with accidents or speeding tickets than company B, C, and D. Just let us know so we can go find the right spot for you. But like I said, we've said it 100 times. We want to review what you have. Let us look at your policy, tell you if you have the right coverage, if you have everything that you should have, or we think you should have, and then make that decision. If we can beat it, great. If not, at least you know you're getting the best deal. It's the only two things that can happen.
Yeah.
We've talked about boats, secondary properties. When you start getting into that, it all comes down to liability. And we talked about it last show, is an umbrella, which $120 a month, you get $1 million.
A year.
Or a year, excuse me. $120 a year, you get $1 million coverage for your general liability. That again follows you everywhere you go, and make sure that if anything happens, you're covered. So.
They are. If you have teenage drivers, you have to have an umbrella. In my opinion, period. What was there was going down. I'm going to use it. I'm going to make it local so that it makes more sense in Kansas City. If you're going down Nolan Road, where they call it the Miracle Mile, where all the car lots are, teenage driver on their phone, they're doing their texting thing, veer off, hit a curb, go over into a car lot, and smash up 4 cars, and get a light pole. What do you think's done in property damage on that? I mean, if you whack up 4 or 5 new cars,
Brand new
your light
cars.
pole,
There's a city
your
light
car,
pole.
and you have 2 passengers that are both injured. You're over probably 300, 400,000
I was
total
I would say
property damage, right?
500,000. Yeah.
So most car policies that we recommend are 100,000 in bodily injury, 100,000 in property coverage, 300 aggregate. So it'll read on your policy 100, 300, 100. You're already out of coverage on your property. If this is a real claim situation that happened, just not here. So you're over 100,000 in property damage. Forget about the bodily injury for a minute. What are you going to do? That's where the umbrella would kick in. So if I did $400,000 worth of property damage, now I have 100 built into my policy, the umbrella is going to kick in that other 300 to fill that gap. Instead of the car dealer coming back to me saying, we're going to garnish your wages, we're getting our money. And I hear it all the time, you can't get blood out of a turnip. Well, you're not a vegetable. They don't care. They will get their money. Liability suits, and now you got to defend yourself. Now you got to go to court.
Pay a lawyer.
And the difference in annual premium is pennies. Now you're less than $100 to go from 50, 100 to 100, 300, or 100, 300 to 250, 500. You're not talking a lot of money. Most agents don't even want to talk about it though. They just want to get the policy out the door, make it cheap as they can, and move on. So I heard you on the phone the other day doing the same thing.
Yep.
Between 50, 100, and 100, 300.
And she appreciated me taking the time to explain it because she had state minimum limits. We talked about how that hurts your insurance score over time, and it just pays for itself.
Well, credit rating that you have personally affects your insurance score as well too. So,
Yeah.
and there's so many different things that all these companies, we can't be naive. All of them report. So you make a comment that, well, I don't think I've had any wrecks. We're gonna know with one more page of the screen when we run reports. All these agencies report, and there's no not telling anymore. I mean,
lie to your mom and dad. Just tell me the truth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find out.
We're not gonna call them. We're not gonna call them. What else is there out there in the word insurance that we should be talking about?
Everybody's needs are so different, and everything changes so often. I would just say this: find find an agent or an agency that truly has your best interest in mind and not selling you a product. I don't have one product to sell. I've got a bunch of solutions I can help people with. I just don't have a desire to sell you anything. I want you to say, that makes sense, that's what I need. I want you to be the one to help me. I want you to be the person that I call when I'm in trouble. And that's why we're in the game of insurance. That's what we're doing.
We were sharing stories last week, Ross, and I had one just happen over the weekend where a good friend of mine, he's a client on the investment side, and he was going out to dinner at 8:30 at night, and a lady pulled right out of a parking lot, and he's driving 45, 50 miles an hour, and he has to lock up his brakes. And he's driving an older Chevy Avalanche truck. And this isn't the first time it's happened to him, but he's putting so much pressure on that brake pad that the fluid and the hydraulic hose busts. He's able to get it into a parking lot, calls me up and says, Jay, what are you doing? I said, I'm just sitting here watching TV. He goes, can you come get me? He goes, I need not only you to come get me, I need you to come get me, take me back to my house, then drive me over to McCarthy Chevrolet, because I already have the hoses at my house, because this has happened before and they made me buy all these extra hoses. I need to get them, take them back to the dealership and meet the tow truck so I get back in my truck. So, that, I'm not saying that, I am saying it. If you need something, we're going to help you out. We're just going to help you out. We're just a phone call away.
That's our job. We're agents. We care about our insureds, and that's what we're here to do. So,
Jim, how we doing?
55, good enough?
Yeah.
You want
Yeah, hey guys, thank you again for today. On behalf of In the Game Insurance, I'm Jay Hunt.
Chris Cooper.
Ross Elrich.
We'd love to have your business. Give us a call. We'll be happy to help you out.